Hey folks, it's Matt once again, and this time Steven Seagal is on deadly ground. Because his battle to save the Alaskan wilderness and protect its people can only be won on deadly ground. I wouldn't say this, and every way the equal of Under Siege, San Francisco Chronicle, or the best Seagal movie to date, the Fort Lauderdale Sun Sentinel, which shows how desperate of reviews they're trying to get. Just what the fuck is the Fort Lauderdale Sun Sentinel? Is that in Florida? Where the hell is that? Texas? Fort Lauderdale Sun Sentinel. Where the hell is that? It's like, who the fuck's that? I actually don't hate this film. It has its flaws. Oh, it has its flaws. But watching this again, this isn't as bad as I remember it. Actually, I've never really hated the film. I like the film. It's not as good as, I mean, it's a step down from Hard to Kill, Out for Justice, Under Siege. But I like it. Now, here's the thing. I know this was Steven Seagal's only direct... You know, I'm surprised this is the only film he directed, Steven Seagal. Therefore, I understand Warner Brothers said, okay, fine, you can direct this film, but we want Under Siege 2, which came out after this. And Seagal's like, okay. But considering how it seems Seagal so much wants to control stuff, I would think he would have directed a lot more, but no, this is the only time. And his films before this were box office hits. And critics were pretty fair on it for what they were. But yeah, Above the Law, Hard to Kill, and so forth, they were hits. And Under Siege was his biggest hit, most popular film. And then this film was a box office bomb. It cost like $50 million and made like 30 some million in the US. Now maybe it made some money overseas, but it was either a bomb, it most definitely was a box office disappointment. I guarantee Warner Brothers thought this would make a lot more money, because hey, before you had Under Siege. And this got a lot of ridicule. I think Seagal won the Razzie for Worst Director of the Year. A lot of people made fun of the film. It gets a 4.4 on IMDb. I think that's too low. I don't think the film is that bad. I have seen hundreds and hundreds. You don't know how many action films I've seen. There are many worse than this. Granted, I can't defend the film too much. I'll defend Out for Justice, which is my favorite. But a lot of people seem to like Out for Justice. I'll defend The Glimmer Man. Not many people like The Glimmer Man. I'll defend that. But I can have fun with this movie. It's just, with his directing, this is the first time, you could tell it's a little bit of a vanity project where it seems like, not all, but a lot of times a first-time director will go heavy-handed on stuff to the point they're trying to give you a message with the subtlety of a fucking jackhammer right there. Think but fly, think. With his spirituality, with his environmentalism, which is funny, because if you think about it, he's kind of an eco-terrorist by the end of the film. I did watch the film closely. There is one, because here's the thing that bothered me. Well, there's a couple. The gist of the plot, Michael Caine runs this oil rig, this facility called Aegis. And he wants Aegis 1 to be uploaded, ready to go. This oil refinery, and he has a bunch of oil rigs. And Steven Seagal works for him, stops fires that are in some oil rigs, finds out that some parts are being put in there that are shitty, and the reason is because it would take too much time to get better parts, and Michael Caine and his company only have like 13 days to get this oil refinery up and running, because if he doesn't, the rights to the oil goes back to the Eskimos, and he doesn't want to do that because he doesn't want to lose that money. So even though he'll be building this thing that's pretty much a time bomb waiting to happen and will spill into the ocean, and it doesn't matter who dies to hide the secrets, he wants to at least make sure that he gets a new lease for the oil, and then whatever happens, chalk it up to whatever, human error, whatever. as long as he gets the lease and the paperwork and the money. And then Seagal, he gets set up. Someone tries to kill his ass. He gets healed up. He goes back with this lady played by Joan Chen to fuck up the facility, fight a bunch of mercenaries and bad guys, and blow up the oil refinery. I'm like, wait a minute. It's right by a big body of water. By blowing up this oil refinery, isn't the oil going to spill in the water? But there is a line of dialogue, I will say, that says, it's a scene where Ermey is one of the bad guys, one of the mercenaries, and he has a shotgun. And Seagal turns it around and shoots him. Before that, there's a scene where Steven Seagal says, we're going to put these charges to cause the preventer to implode to prevent an oil spill. Well, I'm glad I paid attention because that's a real throwaway line, like one line of dialogue, and what the fuck does that even mean? To implode? I don't know much about explosive tactics and explosives and how they work, but if anyone out there is an explosive expert, can you put charges to cause the oil preventer, the machinery preventer to implode to prevent an oil spill? Even though you see wide shots of the whole fucking place exploding, but apparently this one spot, it will implode. I'm like, at least there's one line of dialogue, but you could have explained that a little bit better, Seagal. And there's some shots where you're like, I think what it is with this film, if it did three things. One, tone down some of the vanity shots. For example, when Seagal is dealing with a fire and he hits a button and this huge explosion is right behind him as he's like looking at camera like this, and he has like the button like this. Two, the 20-minute span where the first 30-35 minutes are fine, except a few vanity shots. But yeah, there's a lot of action films in the 80s and 90s that you just say have vanity shots, so it's not like this is the first and only film to do that. I mean, fucking the whole opening scene, Commando with his arms. I mean, you just say that's vanity. It's just he didn't direct the film. So that doesn't bother me as much. I'm just saying maybe for the widespread mainstream, but you know, the vanity shots, I'm like, it's an 80s, 90s action movie. A lot of heroes do their vanity shots, and a lot of times they're fun. Does Van Damme need to kick a gas can and shoot? No, but it's pretty fucking cool, and I love it. After the first 30-35 minutes, there's a 20-minute span when Seagal is hurt and he's being healed up, and then goes this weird dream where these guys say he's the spirit of the bear, or the man bear, or the clan bear, or the cave bear, or the care bear, or whatever the fuck he is. Which now it makes me think of a funny image of Steven Seagal as a Care Bear. Robot Chicken, I'm telling you, do that skit. Seagal as a cave bear. I mean, a Care Bear. Can you imagine that? Like, what his symbol would be? What would his symbol be as a Care Bear? And it's like, what are your power? Mine's hearts. Mine's the rainbows. And he's just a Care Bear that's just, you know. You may think you're above the rainbow, but you ain't above mine. That's a skit I want to see. Care Bear style. But anyway, going off on a tangent. Where he's being healed up and he has a dream. Just the tribe, head of the tribe knocks him out. He has a dream of fighting a bear, which that's actually Bart the Bear. For those who don't know, that's the bear that you saw in The Great Outdoors, dealing with John Candy and Dan Aykroyd. He was in The Edge with Anthony Hopkins and Alec Baldwin. That's Bart the Bear. So Seagal stabs the bear, and then he's riding the river, and then this weird scene where there's this, I swear she was a naked woman, but you can't see the tits, but she's a naked woman, and then he turns, and then there's an old woman staring at them, and then he's like, why are you crying? And she's like, oh man, we're treating Mother Earth like shit. She doesn't say that, but that's the gist of it. And then he comes out of the water, and now he's, I guess, the spirit warrior. But then 10 minutes later, he started the Joan Chen, and it's like, that spirit stuff was cool, but, what, you think the spirits are going to come down and stop the oil and turn this big switch? And I'm like, wait a minute, you just made this whole dream scene about the spirits. Then 10 minutes later, you're telling her about how, well, you know what, you say violence isn't the key, but you think some ghost, some spirit's going to come down and magically stop them? I'm like, doesn't that sort of defeat what... That's what I mean. It's that whole span of like, this whole spirit should not even been in the movie. It should have been he got almost died. They clean him up, heal him up. He goes, thank you. Looks at the landscape. Hey, these are nice people. The animals, the polar bears, all this. This is a nice place. I don't fuck some bad guys up and then go force there. And be like a 10-minute scene instead of the 20, 25-minute scene that it is. I think if you did that... I said the vanity stuff, but, it didn't bother me, but some people does. And the speech at the end, which I know Jack Craven a very nice guy, sent me a message saying that originally it was 11 minutes long, that speech at the end, but they cut it down to like 4 or 5 minutes, which still felt like 15 fucking minutes, but if you cut that speech, and if you cut down that chunk, I don't think this film would be hated as much. It's really those two scenes that kind of... That and explain better at the end that when you're blowing this stuff up, there's a way that the oil spill won't go into the fucking body of water that's right next to the fucking refinery. Just saying. That would help instead of just one throwaway line of dialogue. But I'm sure at this point people go, are you sure you like this movie? Here's why. The bad guys, I think, are really well done. Meaning they're fun. Michael Caine, I liked Michael Caine as an actor. And looking up some trivia, apparently, I guess he replaced Jeremy Irons. Which Jeremy Irons would play a bad guy in Die with a Vengeance a year after, so that's fine. But I guess Anthony Hopkins and Alan Rickman were other actors that the studio wanted for the role. Alan Rickman, no, because it would have been... People would compare him to Hans Gruber and Die Hard. Anthony Hopkins... No, I like Anthony Hopkins, but nah. Michael Caine was perfectly fine. I think Michael Caine was a good choice. You also have John C. McGinley. He did a good job. Arlie Ermey. I liked him as an actor. He's a good bad guy. Even Billy Bob Thornton. Again, it's weird seeing Billy Bob Thornton as one of the bad guys. Like, before he really made it. He's one of the mercenaries, one of the bad guys. So think about it, yeah. Michael Caine, John C. McGinley, Arlie Ermey, Billy Bob Thornton, Sven Thorsen, who works with Arnold a lot. He was the guy in The Running Man at the end where he tells Damien... was it Damien? No, that's not... How the hell did I forget his fucking name in The Running Man? I cannot remember. I cannot believe that. Killian. Not Damien. Killian. I didn't even have to... How the fuck did I forget? Killian. Not Damien. It's a different thing. Killian. I guess I gotta store some steroids, and then he leaves. That's Sven Thorsen. He was also LaForce and Mallrats. Anyway, good set of bad guys. Steven Seagal does fine acting-wise. Really, nobody in the cast do a bad job. The score is an okay score. It works with the film. It's not a bad score. Basil Polidoris, who would also do the score to Under Siege 2. So Basil Polidoris, he does a decent job with the score. The action scenes are well done. The fight scenes are fun. They're wide. Some say too wide, but I'd rather have it too wide than too close. Wide shots of fight scenes. This is a fucking bloody, gory movie, too. Like, this is a really bloody film with some bloody... really bloody gunshot wounds. Well, like when Arlie Ermey comes in with a shotgun, and Seagal turns the shotgun around and shoots him. Watch that scene. See how big the blood squib is. It's big. It's fucking huge. You don't see these bloody gunshots. And Seagal's like, fuck it. If people get shot, they're getting shot and going to be bloody as fuck. So Seagal doesn't shy away from bloodshed. And there's some fun lines of dialogue at the beginning where this buddy of his calls him a whore because of how much he's getting paid. Seagal goes, "For $350,000, I'd fuck anything once." I thought that was pretty funny. And he takes down this fire on this oil rig. And he's in the midst of real fire. And it seems like Seagal's really in amongst that fire. And, you know, does that shot where he blows up the thing and stops the fire. And then you have a fun scene in the bar where you have Mike Starr. For those who don't know, Mike Starr was in Dumb and Dumber. He was the big guy that when Jim Carrey, Jeff Daniels says, the most annoying sound in the world, he's the guy in the middle in the back saying, "Guys, guys." That the big guy, that's Mike Starr. And he's this racist, fucking with his Native American in the bar. And he has a bunch of guys with him. Seagal gets in a bar fight. I like the bar fight. This big thing of rope they puts around people and throws their ass. One guy he tosses and turns and throws his ass out the window. Wide shots, I can see what's going on. I can tell what's going on. And then a lot of people make fun of this scene. I don't really know why, because it's an interesting idea. Pretty much humbling this guy. Like, come on, man, you got a big pair of balls, huh? And we don't play the hand slap game. Okay, if I hit you, then I get a free punch. If I miss, you get a free punch at me. Come on, you're a man, right? You're a real man, right? And then slaps his hand, and he slaps his hand, punches him in the gut. Then one time punches him in the gut and in the face and humbles him. Now the way it ends is a little bit like, okay, where how much does it take to change the conscience of a man? Pretty much humbles this guy, saying it'll take time. I mean, it's quirky. I'll use that word, quirky, but I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was. It was different. It was interesting, and it was unique. And I actually liked it. I liked the scene. So I know a lot of people have a problem with it. I liked it. And I think Michael Caine does a good job. Like, he does this fake commercial for the environment, and it shows how he could turn on being sweet and a nice guy. Hey, how's it going? And then immediately when it's done, boom, he's an asshole. And it shows how good of an actor is, just that from nice guy to asshole. He does a good job. And like I said, the plot is if Aegis 1 is not operational, then the oil rights go back to the Eskimos. And they talk to Seagal's buddy, try and get this information that he has to stop their operation. And they torture him. They take this bat, like made out of ivory. I think it's an ivory. It's this little club bat. And they break the guy's fingers to get him to talk. And then they get this pipe cutter. They put it on his leg and they try to get him to talk with that. And granted, you don't see, but the intention is there. It's like, ooh, a pipe cutter and this ivory is not something to fuck with. I mean, that can be some hard shit. And then you cut to Seagal, who finds out some info. He gets set up, finds his friend dead. And this is a crazy stunt. I mean, he's in a suit, but the place explodes, and it looks like the guy is right this far away from it. And you see the guy, like, fly out from this explosion. And I'm like, how the hell did they do that? I mean, this is before CGI computer effects were such a... Well, I mean, yeah, Jurassic Park, but I don't know what this film would have had. It literally made me go, like, how the hell did they do that? Where this guy is right in front of the explosion, like, flies off. It actually looked pretty good. It didn't look fake or phony or goofy. I'm like, ooh, it looked like a dangerous stunt for that stuntman. And I appreciate that stuff, especially the way things are nowadays. But he's found and he's rescued and he heals, and this is when this 20-25 minute span is when I think this is the section that if you cut a lot of this out, it would not get as much hate nowadays, because he's told about the bear and the land and the men and the ravens, and you're the bear now, and teach him respect, and you're a fucking Care Bear, and you're the Great Spirit. And Joan Chen says, you have died twice. And I went, wait, twice? When the hell did he die twice? Maybe the first time with this... when the fuck did he die twice? What's the twice thing? If you want to include him getting blown back and you finding him, that's once. Where's the twice? Did I miss the second time? Was it cut out? What do you mean twice? But what the fuck does twice mean? And he's dreaming and fights a fucking bear, slides down a fucking river, and he sees, I think, a naked woman with no, don't see her tits, but then an old woman looking at him like, that's fucking weird. I'm not into that kink. And then teach him to fight the bear. You fight my bear ass. Get the fuck off. This is bullshit. And then John C. McGinley is looking for them, shoots the chief, who later on dies. And Seagal is there, and this, you just get some really heavy-handed imagery, which sometimes is the case for a first-time director. Look what I can do. Sometimes you don't need to do that. But after that, then the film, other than that section and the speech at the end, and, you know, wondering if the oil is going to spill when he blows it up at the end, the rest of that is perfectly fine, where he's at his house, some baddies come in, and he has some shotgun fun. Shoots a guy upstairs, and this big bloody squib over the guy's crotch. In which I go, oh! Like, he shoots a guy, and you see this big bloody, like, just over here on the crotch area. And it's like, oh, that would hurt. And he shoots another, shoots one guy in the face. Again, some pretty fucking bloody squibs. And then Sven Thorsen has his... he fucks up Sven Thorsen with that ivory club thing. And speaking of which, this is what it says in the trivia on IMDb, which who knows how much is true or not, but I'm just saying this is what it says. When Sven Thorsen was on set and met Steven Seagal, he was asked by Seagal to kick him to show what Sven Olsen was capable of. Sven Olsen hesitantly kicked Seagal, who caught his leg and threw him to the ground. Seagal asked Sven Olsen to kick him again, given his best shot. Sven Olsen kicked him as fast and hard as he could, and Seagal fell to the ground. When shooting the scene together, a day or two later, Seagal hit Sven Olsen in the throat, resulting in Sven Olsen being knocked out for 3 to 4 seconds. It looks so realistic that Seagal, the director of the movie, decided that Sven Olsen's character Otto died, and Sven Olsen's remaining scenes were cut from the film. I don't know if that's true or not. That's what it says on IMDb. If that's true, well, a lot of people know Seagal's an asshole, but that's fucked up. Some other bits of trivia before I go on. Apparently, in his memoir, Michael Caine actually liked working with Seagal and the crew. He just hated filming in Alaska. And yeah, he agreed to appear in Under Siege 2 if Warner Bros. Allowed him to direct the film. On Deadly Ground was not Steven Seagal's first choice to make his debut for directing. He was initially offered the mafia drama Man of Honor as a star director/writer by 20th Century Fox, but cost overruns and Fox's unwillingness to plunk down over $30 million forced the pick to shut down just weeks away from filming. The ideas for titles of the film were Rainbow Warrior. Rainbow Warrior! See, I was joking about the Care Bear and the rainbow, and now the ultimate title is Rainbow Warrior. Fucking shit. I was just kidding about Rainbow Warrior. This could be called Rainbow Warrior, then the Care Bear joke would have worked even more perfectly. But get back to that. But yeah, it fucks up these guys. It's too bad what happened with Sven Thorsen, but yeah, fucked him over with the ivory club bat thing. Michael Caine tossed to John C. McGinley and mentions the ultimate fucking nightmare. And it won't come close to this guy when he's pissed. And that's when the mercenaries are brought in, like Ermey and Billy Bob Thornton. And then I was saying this before, but there's this weird speech that Seagal gives to Joan Chen. And Joan Chen's like, "Oh, what? You don't blow it up? Do we need more violence and dead bodies?" And I wonder if it's on here. But I hope it's on here because it was kind of a weird speech. No, it's not on here. It was sort of the speech that I was talking about where all of a sudden spirits going to come down and save us. And I'm like, but you were just dealing with this thing here. Why the hell was that even in the movie then? I'm like, is this sort of a speech promoting vigilantism as good and sort of making fun of spiritual shit? I don't know. So there's some stuff in there that's, like I say, it's a flawed film. I'm not saying it's flawed. It's a flawed film, but it's a fun flawed film. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a fun flawed film, and as an action film, on the technical aspects are pretty damn good. Like him and Joan Chen on horseback. They get to this cave with a shitload of supplies and bombs, and he sets a trap, which he blows up the cave, which pushes his helicopter against a cliff and blows it up. Like the force of the explosion pushes the helicopter back. All done with model work and real fire, and I thought it was pretty well done. I like that scene. He sets up these traps where Ermey and his crew are chasing them. One gets tripped over and falls and gets impaled. Another, this bomb comes up. And like I said, really some fun, bloody violence. Where I guess the guy's in front of this bomb, and it looks like as if 20 things shot through this guy. Just like the back of a guy, and it looks like 20 things shot through at the same time. Right through the guy's body. Just a really bloody, fun moment. And that's when Seagal kind of becomes an eco-terrorist, and him and Joan Chen get on the oil refinery. And this one thing where he takes a gun and he takes a bottle, dumps everything out, then takes a gun, puts it here, tapes it, and makes like a silencer. And I don't know if that's how it goes in real life, but it looked cool. So if anyone knows about guns and silencers, if that would work. But either way, looked cool. I'll say that it looked cool. So it uses it sort of a silencer to shoot one guy. And you have like a squib at the back of the guy's head. I keep mentioning that. It's a really bloody film. That's one of the things I like about the flick. He fucks up some folks, makes the power go out, causes an explosion in one part of the refinery, and shoots a lot of motherfuckers. And when people get shot, again, big bloody squibs, which I appreciate. John C. McGinley tries to fight him right by this helicopter, and Seagal just shoves his ass right into the helicopter blades. And there's big streaks of blood, and John C. McGinley's sunglasses. I mean, that's a way to take out a bad guy. And that was done better here than it was in Expendables 2. Expendables 2 looked like shitty CGI. Here, yeah, I mean, it's a cutaway, but it's a bloody, brutal type of way. It's the right way of doing a cutaway. If you can't do it because it would never get by the MPA, that was a way to do it. I thought that bit worked better here than it did in Expendables 2 when Jason Statham got Scott Adkins into the helicopter blades. People get mad. I thought it worked better here. And one of the bad guys, who's a woman, she stupidly runs her car into a tanker and blows up from that. Douse some assholes with gasoline, shoots, and they catch on fire. Real stuntmen on fire. Appreciate what they do. Billy Bob Thornton, this other guy, gets blown back. They're in front of this elevator. Seagal put a bomb there, a trap, that blows them back and on fire. And That's where you get after that, that's where you get Seagal saying, and I quote, "Here's some charges to cause the preventer to implode, to prevent an oil spill." And the reason they're blowing this thing up is that it's a time bomb. If they do go through their plan, it's going to blow up anyway and cause this oil spill. So I guess if you blow it up beforehand in the specific way Seagal does, it won't be an oil spill. Either go with it or you don't. If you're not confused, you can explain to me. If you're just as confused, I'm with you. But he does say that line, so I guess that's why there's no oil spill. Although there'll be a shitload of air pollution. But I guess that's better than the water pollution. Yeah. I'm like, isn't there a way to shut down the facility without everything into a fireball? But like I don't know, kill all the bad guys and shut all the switches down? I mean, isn't that kind of like if in Under Siege, in order to stop Tommy Lee Jones, you blew up the battleship? In order to stop it, we gotta blow up the entire battleship. But I will admit, I was having fun. I kind of left my brain at the door with that. And speaking of fun, they get into Ermey with a shotgun. Seagal turns around, shoots him. Big bloody squib. Fantastic. They get to a room where they can't shoot because things will blow up in the air. And hand to hand, some fun stuff. Seagal gets this long pipe, hits a guy right across the face, left and right, using it sort of as a bow. One guy twists and turns, throws his ass through a window, right through glass, and makes a guy stab himself in the head. Then turns him around, makes him hit the wall with the butt of the knife in him, so that the blade will go pop further. That's one of those things I always remember ever since I was a kid. I went, ooh, that's fucking brutal. And that's what I liked about this early Seagal, the brutalness of it. They get to Michael Caine, tie him up, have him fall down to this oil pit, which I guess he died because of this explosion afterward. I guess they stopped the spill if this thing had gone to fruition. Some good explosion effects. Seagal and Joan Chen get out, and you have this 5-minute preachy speech, which originally was 11 minutes. Which, holy shit, if that was an 11-minute speech, holy fuck. But keep saying because I try to. If you don't like the film, I can understand. Again, this is not a film I would defend, and like this is not a hill I would die on. Sort of that phrase. But I still like it. Bloody gun squibs and brutal action. Well done fight scenes and good technical aspects and explosions. Model worker, the helicopter gets blown up, collides with a cliff. Serviceable score, fun group of bad guys, fun dialogue. I mean, hell, this dialogue here where Ermey is describing Steven Seagal, this kind of shows why I like the film. This is Ermey describing a guy who Seagal is. And I love this speech. This is hilarious. But, I mean, sincerely, like, fun. My guy in D.C. tells me that we're not dealing with a student here, we're dealing with a professor. Anytime the military has an operation that can't fail, they call this guy in to train the troops. Okay? He's the kind of guy that would drink a gallon of gasoline so he could piss in your campfire. You go drop this guy off at the Arctic Circle wearing a pair of bikini underwear without his toothbrush. Tomorrow afternoon he's going to show up at your poolside with $1 million smile and a fistful of pesos. This guy's a professional, you got me? If he reaches his oil rig, we're all going to be nothing but a big goddamn hole in the ground right in the middle of Alaska. So just go find him and kill him and get rid of the son of a bitch. That speech alone makes this film a winner to me. I like the film. The 5-minute speech at the end, preachy. The environmentalism, which is a little bit weird, considering the almost eco-terrorism at the end, and the throwaway line of "That's why the oil sector will spill when we're blowing it up." Aside from when that blows up from its time bomb, you could have explained that more. The spiritual shit with the fucking weird, almost naked woman, and there's an old woman watching you, and fighting a bear and going in the river. You could cut that shit out. But a 4.4, I've seen so many worse films. So many. I would rather watch this than Independence Day Resurgence. Yes, I would rather watch this than Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, because at least it's Steven Seagal and fight scenes that I enjoy with real people doing real stuff in bloody ways and hitting people in the knife in the head and fucking them up and shooting Ermey in the shotgun with a bloody squibs. At least there's that, and I know people will be pissed off at me, but I still rather watch that. I still rather watch this than most of the films that came out this year. But again, it does have its flaws. But at the end of the day, I wasn't mad. I wasn't pissed. I was smiling. A lot of it from the fun action and fun bad guys. Some of it from the what aspect. I liked On Deadly Ground for what it was, and it's a flawed film, but I found fun with it. So, thanks for watching. Take care, and stay tuned for another. I think, yeah, it will be Under Siege 2, Dark Territory, which is a pretty good sequel. And, yeah, step up from this film. But, yeah, if you hate the film, I can understand, but, again, I think mainly if it explain the ending more with the oil spillage, or the lack thereof, take out the spirit stuff with you fighting a bear in your dreams at all, and being a Care Bear, or the Rainbow Warrior. Maybe that's what his Care Bear symbol would be then, as a fucking rainbow, the Rainbow Warrior. Or the speech at the end. If you take those three things out, or explain it more, or shorten them, I don't think this would be hated as much. Because again, the technicalities of an action film, fight scenes, explosions, gunfire, bloody squibs, brutal kills, solid cast, some fun bad guys, it's actually not that bad. I mean, this is not Batman and Robin. This is not Battlefield Earth. I'm not going to say this is Fantastic Perfect, but it's nowhere near like those movies. So I liked it. Again, it was better than I remember it being. Aside from some funny moments. But thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.